Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Kevin McCarthy, who's the president of McCarthy Financial Group, and we'll be talking about how to maximize Social Security income. Kevin, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, so I know that Social Security kind of rivals the word retirement because it's like, yeah, I know it's coming, but I'll do it, someday I'll do it, and it just like gets put off. But I know what we will talk about here is the sooner you start planning, the better, and it gives you the most options for making the most of Social Security and retirement. So I want to dive into that, but give us a little bit of your background first. What's your entrepreneurial journey been like, and what got you into the financial services industry?
Oh, fantastic. Been a student of the stock market my whole life, but when I got into this business after working Wall Street early on, came back from New York with my tail between my legs and started my conservative financial planning practice in South Florida. I've been doing it for over 30 years and enjoy and love what I do. You mentioned earlier about planning, and that's something that you can never start early enough.
Yeah.
And everyone says it's never too late, but the earlier the better, especially with what we're talking about today, Social Security. This is a cornerstone. It's definitely something that if you plan it, it'll definitely work in your favor on that. So it's a family-run practice. My wife and I work together, and my sister-in-law is my right arm, and her daughter-in-law is my left arm. So it's a family-run practice.
That is awesome. I love that. In fact, I literally came back this week from a convention of financial professionals, and there were two father and son teams in the room. And it's so neat to see, dad's been in the business 30 years and the son got licensed and now they're in the business with dad. And so it's really neat to see that because you know that those family values are carried over into the way they interact with their clients.
Very nice.
Hey, so give us a little bit of, insight so far into when you work with the client for the first time and they say, okay, I'm looking at Social Security, maybe I'm 55, I'm thinking well ahead. And yes, you can make some plans before that age, but at whatever age, that some of the numbers are fuzzy, like, I don't know, 62, 65, 67, all these ages. So what is it that you're working with them first to help them understand on Social Security claiming options?
Yeah, well, the claiming options and these are options they have, and I usually want to get a feel for what they're thinking. Retiring early, retiring later, not working, volunteering. Hopefully, not have to work. But it's crucial where you just need to educate them and listen. The longer you put off, the more money. And the one thing that people don't consider is health, and then their phases of retirement. The go-go phase. That's early on. You're going to hit the things you haven't been able to do because you've been tied down to work and stuff. So the go phase, and nobody knows how long that phase will be before you get into the slow go. And the slow go is like, I'm not going to make too many big trips, and then hopefully maybe the grandchildren, great grandchildren, maybe start coming to visit you instead. And before you get into no go, where you're tired of traveling, you've seen all you've seen, and you just want to stay home and cater to yourself. So those phases, and again, could be 5 years, 15 years of a go-go phase, could be, it depends. And your family health has a lot to do with that as well. A lot of people don't take that into consideration.
When you mention that, it makes total sense because, you feel like you're grinding for all these years to, get the first house and you got married and now you have kids and then high school and college. And then you get to the point where it's like, okay, now I'm the kids are now off doing what they're doing and settled. And now I need to bolster back up my retirement. And I need to think about, going into neutral or whatever gear. All of that sounds to me like you, in some senses, are a life coach to your clients. Yeah, we'll talk about finances, but what does retirement really look like for you? And have you considered, and it really gets into goals and your lifestyles and creating that, lifestyle. And if you want this certain lifestyle, then we need to do these certain things. And I think that's a really neat way that you're serving your clients too.
Yeah, you mentioned, life coach, and when we're interviewing, and I'm letting people know you're interviewing me and I'm interviewing you because I'm interviewing for a job they didn't know existed.
Yeah.
It's called the rest of your life money. When you got that go, slow go, and no go phases, early on the go, that could be very expensive. So you need to fund it correctly. And then if you slow go, but that no go could be very expensive too. So we need to really calculate. And with great programs today, software, it's great to really estimate and show where people can really fund the rest of their life money.
Yeah, and I know we were talking about how to maximize Social Security income. To me, from the outside looking in, listening in, I think of the phrase Social Security, and it's like I check a box. Okay, send it to me starting at this age. How do you maximize it? That gives the connotation of, well, I have some choices, and maybe, one choice would give me more or less. So let's talk a little bit about how to maximize Social Security income.
Well, again, you could take Social Security as early as 62. May not be recommended if you've funded your retirement plans and you have a go phase started with, checking those boxes. But there are some people that do turn it on early, but you get a discount, and it's a discount that you lock in for the rest of your life. So maximizing it, well, what if you worked a little bit longer, or what if you funded it from other assets and got a raise every year? You didn't turn on Social Security yet. So again, by us calculating and having that formula to help them make those decisions, we don't tell people what to do. They tell us what they want, and we design a plan that would, complement them and answer their needs, wants, and desires. So if they're ready to go, and we like, Social Security is going to be, there's the type of income. So we can get into the, we got guaranteed income like a pension, and Social Security or annuities could be part of that guaranteed side. And then you have maybe like rental income, and it's not guaranteed. Renter may not pay rent one month. So it's not as reliable as something like Social Security or pension. But then you have, interest income and cap, so you have options, and you just want to formulate how much money you need to live your life and to do the things you want to be doing. So we kind of put that all into the computer.
Well, you mentioned computer software technology, and that gets down to, yes, filling in the blanks, yes, using technology, but it also gets down to building and creating that relationship with the client to know the right questions to ask so that from those responses, you have the best input to put into the technology. Because one of the other things, and this is for a whole other conversation one day, but, one of the big impacts in all of this we're talking about is taxes. Like, what is the tax rate going to be? Wow, that's going to impact a lot of things. But I want to dial into something you mentioned about lifelong decisions. I literally was I got an email this morning from one of my investment accounts, and it's like, okay, log in and you can reallocate and change, whatever the percentages are. I think some people assume that, I'll just take Social Security here, and then if I want to pause it, I click another button. Then if I want to change this, then just change here and there, whatever I want, like when's open enrollment. So is that the case with Social Security, or once you make it, you're done and it's irrevocable?
Yeah, it is. Well, you do. I mean, there's a little gray window. The first 11 months, you could revert back, but you got to give the money back. So it's something not often done and not a lot of people know of. But again, if it is a lifelong decision, and you need to map that out. So, like you said, the interview questions, we kind of peel those layers and get to that information, so it's not coming up later that we didn't ask. Something if they turn up the go phase too fast, we need to let them know that you can't take a cruise every month, that you need to, cushion, consider the long-term lifespan of the rest of your life money.
I think that's something huge to keep in mind, and something else that made me think of something else, which is knowing what you want, like in your retirement years, you might be a high performing executive in your career, and you want to throttle back, but you don't want to come to a grinding halt. You might still want to work 2 days a week. And you might want to have one of those D's being volunteer at your local church or charity or nonprofit. So that could impact if and when to take Social Security, because if you make a certain amount, then it's going to trigger certain events. So I think that goes into knowing what you want your retirement to look like in the different phases, like the go, no-go that you're talking about, right?
Exactly. And it's just peeling that core, getting to what their values and what their wants and desires are, and it's something a lot of people don't plan on it. They don't think about the retirement. They'll take a month, 2 months to plan a vacation that's 3 months down the road.
Yeah.
But then
10 minutes to plan your retirement.
Exactly. I wish it was that easy.
Yeah.
But if we get in deep dive into those questions and not have a canned answer, because everyone's unique. Everyone has their own wishes and desires with their pile of money. And in most of my clients, they'll say, you know what? They've done exactly what they've wanted to do. And again, I do cater to a more conservative client. So let them know that, they can't, their pile of money is, the kids and the family will get whatever they don't spend.
Yeah.
And it's also about that estate planning, and then also having your home health care and long-term care covered.
And I also know from my scant knowledge of Social Security that, when you choose to claim, and, whether it's 62 or 67, whatever your age is, if there's a husband and a wife, one can claim, the other, you can let the other still get it, and vice versa. And so there's some strategies around that, right? So like, what if one is still working and the other's not? Or what if there's health needs? So talk a little bit about some of the options for claiming as a married couple or individual.
Yeah, I mean, individual has 9 different choices, whereas a married couple has like 81 choices, and it's asking these questions to make sure you get to the right one, because it is, again, a lifelong decision. And yeah, we could play with that by one being older or younger and turning on and waiting for the other one to build up, because right now, as Social Security stands, you get a nice increase of 7% every year you don't turn it on, and 7% is a number that is guaranteed to go up, whereas rates are increasing low, recently, but been in very low, historically lows in our lifetime right now. So yeah, we play with those numbers and let them know that what month or what year to turn on. So it's all part of the game plan of getting that guaranteed money coming in, and what we need as supplemental income and fund money.
Yep. And you alluded to this, but I know that a lot of people in our society today, it's like, oh, I can't find this thing. Let me just go Google it, or let me just go online, or let me just get this. I think a lot of people might just think, oh, let me just pop on Google and I'll get all of my Social Security questions answered, or I'll just go to the Social Security website or office. But going to those sources are going to be just surface level. And even I would suspect, well, I've got a guy or I've got a gal that does my finances or taxes, and they gave me some advice. What's the difference in working with, online sources versus a generic financial professional versus someone like yourself who specializes in Social Security? Yeah,
great question, because, the IRS, they have their book of knowledge, but it's a canned answer, and everyone is unique. So when we get into our questionnaire and we peel back the layers, we're getting to those core questions and core values of what they want out of their performance. Whereas, Google is great for 1,000-foot view as an answer, but when you're dialing the rest of your life money and a decision that's going to be there for the rest of your life, it's great to really know the specific down to the penny of what you need to happen. So in our business, thank God for technology and software that helps us get to those numbers, and it's not going to be a surprise.
And even with technology, machines, maybe one day we'll look back and go, oh, remember we used to think machines won't take over the world. But we still have to have that human element to know what to put into the machine to have it do its thing. And the reason I'm mentioning that is I remember talking to an advisor one time that said they were talking to one of their clients and they were running their calculation through the software, and something came up in their conversation and they said, hey, before we, let me run this other calculation, because didn't you say you had, and I don't remember the details, but something to the effect of, aren't you taking care of a grandchild who's disabled? And they're like, oh, yeah, we've been, whatever the case was. And because of that one thing, it dramatically increased their Social Security benefits. So whether the details are correct or not, knowing the questions to ask and knowing how to apply that, because it could have just gone in one ear and out the other, like, oh, hey, your family value is taking care of the family. But knowing to apply that into potentially the calculation for your Social Security, that's a big deal. And that comes from not just checking the boxes.
I agree. It's squeezing the most out of it. You put in your quarters, and you put into this program, but there's ways, and again, it goes back to our original interview and questions, getting deeper and deeper of what is expected, retirement investments, your regular investments, possible inheritance, possible taking care of others. It's definitely a deep dive into your life and how you want your life to be lived, and it's definitely getting those questions answered to making sure that we're squeezing the most out of every plan, especially Social Security.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Kevin, I tell you, this is such a vast topic, and we can't solve the world's problems with one conversation. But if this has spurred anyone to think about, maybe I should get a couple questions answered well ahead of when I need to, start making these lifelong decisions. What's the best way someone can learn more and then also reach out and connect with you guys?
Well, our website, www.mccarthyfinancialgroup.com. Right there, you could touch an email through to us, subscribe, follow us. I mean, we've got a lot of, not only the financial business, our family-run practice. We do a lot of social events. We do, Zoom chair yoga once a week. My wife is a certified yoga instructor. The other, Stephanie and Vivian, they do our Zoom bingo once a month. And this month, I think we're giving away gas cards.
Whoa! There you go.
Exactly. And, we also have a book club we've been running for about a couple years now. They read a book and they do a Zoom meeting. So it's all over the computer, but it's definitely tying a little bit of element of personal contact and again, if you're going to deal with somebody the rest of your life, you want to know you like the person, you're easy to talk to, and you're able to ask the tough questions and getting it on the surface.
That sounds amazing. So McCarthyFinancialGroup.com, I'll make sure to have that in the show notes as a link as well. So Kevin, thank you so much for giving us a little insight into your agency. I just love your approach to serving your clients and appreciate you coming on.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Glad to be here.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.